Making headlines tonight. The Prime Minister chairs a meeting of the Council of Ministers which approves a draft constitutional amendment mandating only Khmer citizenship for the kingdom's top leaders. Just what local tourism businesses needed. Over 650,000 people hit the road for Pachumbin. And days of heavy rain prompt flash floods in Battambang along the border with Thailand. This is the Daily Roundup on the EAC News Channel. A very good evening to you. I'm Andrew Barnes-Roberts. The Council of Ministers has approved a draft amendment to the Constitution mandating only Khmer nationality for the kingdom's top leaders. The plenary session was chaired by Prime Minister Hun Sen at the Peace Palace on Friday morning and approved the draft text relating to the nationalities of those holding the kingdom's 4 top positions, namely the President of the Senate, the President of the National Assembly, the Prime Minister, and the President of the Constitutional Council. The move was made swiftly after incorrect claims that the Prime Minister held a Cypriot passport. EAC News reporter Reo Soko has the story.
The draft amendments will now be forwarded to the National Assembly, where a 2/3 majority will be needed to change the Constitution. Friday's plenary session dealt with 4 main points: the draft constitutional amendment for Articles 19, 42, 106, 119, and 13, as well as Article 3. Second was the approval of the draft law on public-private partnerships, followed by the 3-year rolling public investment program for 2022 to 2025. And lastly, the agreement between the Royal Government of Cambodia and the United Nations regarding the trial for crimes committed during the period of democratic Kampuchea. Government spokesman Pai Sipan says the changes are all aimed at ensuring the normal functioning of national institutions. He has also clarified that regarding the constitutional amendment, all members of parliament, senators, the Prime Minister, and members of the Constitutional Council must be Cambodian citizens by birth. This also includes the chairman, vice chairman, and all members of the National Election Committee. Prime Minister Hun Sen initiated a move on Wednesday after a report in the British newspaper The Guardian incorrectly listed him as one of thousands of people who had been given a Cypriot passport.
All the ministries and institutions in the kingdom have already voiced out their support for the amendment initiated by Prime Minister Hun Sen and approved during Friday's meeting at the Peace Palace. The Prime Minister says it will be a way to show loyalty to the nation and a way to avoid foreign interference while serving the country. The Cambodian government hopes to receive a response from Cyprus soon, formally confirming that the Prime Minister does not hold a Cypriot passport. The report from The Guardian has already been edited accordingly after receiving a backlash from the kingdom. Rhea Soko, EAC News, Phnom Penh.
នេះជាការសាកល្បងដ៏ធំរបស់យើងដើម្បីឈានទៅដល់ការបើកប្រទេសឡើងវិញ
The Prime Minister has announced that if the COVID-19 situation remains stable for 15 consecutive days after Pachumbin, Cambodia will reopen fully, although under the so-called new normal. He was speaking during the Council of Ministers meeting on Friday morning. He says the COVID-19 situation appears to be stabilizing in the kingdom, with less than 20 deaths a day. The Prime Minister believes that if infections and the mortality rate remain low over the course of the next 2 weeks, then it will be time to reopen the economy and society in all sectors, he says, but in the new normal by following the 3 do's and 3 don'ts. The Prime Minister said before the holidays that Pachumbin would be a test of the kingdom's readiness to live in a new normal and that he'd be prepared to reopen the country if the holidays did not lead to a spike in infections. Pachumbin proved to be the boost domestic tourism businesses needed. While the numbers of local tourists were down about 40% on last year, more than 660,000 people still traveled throughout Cambodia during the 3-day national holiday. EAC News reporter Yuri Matosko takes a look at the numbers.
The Minister of Tourism, Tom Kun, has announced that more than 664,000 tourists took their suitcases and went to visit different spots of the country. The main destinations appear to be at the coast. Kampot experienced a surge in bookings between 5 and 7 of October, with more than 100,000 tourists visiting places such as Bokor Mountain and nearby water parks. Followed by Kampot, the neighboring city of Kep welcomed 100,000 tourists. Priasi Hanuk saw more than 80,000 people visiting. 50,000 travelers enjoyed their holiday in Pursat, while Kampong Spun, Battambang, Kampong Chun, and Siem Reap each received more than 30,000 visitors. Most visitors are expected to extend their trips until the weekend, although on Thursday, about 10% of holidaymakers had checked out and were heading home. The second day of Pichunben, Pichunton, was the busiest, with almost 270,000 people heading out on vacation, up 82% on the day before. Yuri Matosko, EAC News.
There may have been 40% less tourists on the roads this Pichunben, but the number of accidents, injuries and deaths remained on par with 2020. The National Police's Department of Traffic and Public Order has released a preliminary report for the 3-day holiday. Between the 5th and 7th of October, a total of 35 road accidents claimed the lives of 14 people and injured a further 64. This is one fatality down on 2020, when 15 people were killed on the country's roads over the same period. On the first day of Pichunben, 9 accidents claimed 5 lives and put 18 people in hospital. On Pichum Tom, 11 accidents caused 22 injuries and the deaths of 3 people. On Thursday, 15 accidents occurred, killing 6 and injuring 24. Police say dangerous overtaking, carelessness when making turns, and speeding were the main causes of accidents. They've again warned drivers to be careful on the roads and respect traffic laws, as well as the safety of other road users. Thursday's storm surge in Priasianuk has claimed the lives of 4 siblings. One was drowned almost immediately, with 3 others reported missing. The last of their bodies was recovered in the early hours of Friday morning. EAC News reporter Yuri Matosko has the story.
It was supposed to be a day of fun at the beach when Lane Young, a father of 5, went to play with his sons and daughters in the ocean. But a change in the weather brought tragedy in the form of a storm surge. 25-year-old Lang Sere Diep, 20-year-old Lang Churok, 16-year-old Lang Sochit, and 12-year-old Lang Dao all drowned. Their father and 10-year-old brother Lang Sochia were lucky to be rescued. The search for the bodies went on until 1 a.m. on Friday, when Lang Dao was finally found. Priasi Hanuk Provincial Police Commissioner Chuon Naren says the bodies have been examined and have been handed over to the family for traditional funeral rites. Yuri Matosko, EAC News.
The border between Thailand and Cambodia in Battambang province has been severely flooded due to torrential rain. The border crossing in Cam Ranh district is the most heavily affected, which is not only a problem for people, but for vehicles as well. District Governor Sok Kim Kon says they are monitoring water levels and have advised people to take extra precautions. EAC News reporter Reo Soko has the details.
The Dong International Border Checkpoint is heavily flooded. It now looks more like a river, making it extremely difficult, not to mention dangerous, for people and vehicles to cross. District Governor Sok Kim Kon says the flooding started on Wednesday night and water levels have yet to recede. He says strong currents of water are coming from the streams from both Battambang's Phnom Proek district as well as from the Thai side of the border. He says other districts in the province are also experiencing flooding due to continuous rain. He's hoping water levels will start dropping soon so that transportation across the border can continue. Reyes Soko, EAC News.
The kingdom's number of reported active COVID-19 cases continues to fall, with the Health Ministry now reporting only new daily cases that have been confirmed with a PCR test and not a rapid test kit. As a result, the country's COVID-19 case numbers have fallen dramatically this week, taking the number of active cases down to 5,046. The Health Ministry has reported 203 new cases on Friday. That's against 547 recoveries. 18 more people, though, lost their battle against COVID-19 overnight. The new numbers mean Cambodia's total case tally has climbed to 114,351. The death toll stands at 2,459. The number of patients treated successfully has reached 106,839. We'll know early next week if Pachumbin has led to an increase in cases, with only PCR tests being used to confirm the presence of COVID-19. UNICEF has released a new report warning about the effect of COVID-19 on children and teenagers around the world. Its State of the World's Children 2021 report contains a COVID-19 socio-economic impact assessment study in Cambodia that has found that students, specifically at the secondary school level, have experienced some form of mental health issue as a result of the pandemic. EAC News reporter Reo Soko.
According to the latest available estimates by UNICEF, more than 1 in 7 adolescents around the world aged 10 to 19 is living with a diagnosed mental disorder. In Cambodia, UNICEF surveyed 15 to 19-year-olds, 45% of whom said they were worried about their safety during the pandemic. 16% said that they've been feeling more anxious or depressed since the pandemic began. Another survey, a joint education needs assessment, was conducted by the Ministry of Education, Youth and Sport, the Education Sector Working Group, and UNICEF after schools closed in 2020. It surveyed 15,000 Cambodians, including students, caregivers, educators, and local authorities. The results revealed that 58% of secondary school students reported experiencing at least one mental health issue. UNICEF's Cambodia representative Foro Foyisat says children in the kingdom, just like the rest of the world, have faced many challenges during the COVID-19 crisis. She has emphasized that the closure of schools, dramatic changes in social interaction, and the socioeconomic impact of the pandemic have all come at a great cost to the mental health of children and the youth. The hope is with secondary schools having reopened in the kingdom and primary schools seemingly set to follow suit soon, that mental health will improve across all age groups as children get back to class and back with their friends. Rhea Soko, EAC News.
Now for a look at news making international headlines this Friday, the 8th of October.
At least 4 people have been killed in flash floods in the U.S. state of Alabama after torrential rain. Roads have been closed, homes swamped, and dozens of people have been evacuated, leaving entire communities underwater. The South Alabama town lost its main grocery store when a creek came through the doors of the Piggly Wiggly. Near the coast, heavy rains caused sewage to bubble up from the underground pipes. The Marshall County coroner confirms that a 4-year-old girl and an 18-year-old woman died in a separate incident when flash floods carried away vehicles in northeast Alabama. Bodies of a couple, both 23, were found inside their car that had been swept away in the Birmingham suburb of Hoover. About 20 people were rescued from vehicles and more than 80 were rescued from flooded homes.
The World Health Organization has recommended a groundbreaking malaria vaccine for children.
Dear colleagues and friends, as some of you may know, I started my career as a malaria researcher, and I longed for the day that we would have an effective vaccine against this ancient and terrible disease. And today is that day, an historic day. Today, WHO is recommending the broad use of the world's first malaria vaccine. This recommendation is based on results from an ongoing pilot program in Ghana, Kenya, and Malawi that has reached more than 800,000 children since 2019. This long-awaited malaria vaccine is a breakthrough for science, child health, and malaria control.
The World Health Organization is recommending widespread use of the RTS malaria vaccine among children in sub-Saharan Africa and in other regions with moderate to high malaria transmission. Malaria remains a primary cause of childhood illness and death in sub-Saharan Africa. It kills more than 250,000 children in the region every year.
And The U.S. nuclear-powered fast-attack submarine, the USS Connecticut, has collided with an unknown object while submerged in waters around the South China Sea. 15 sailors were reported injured. Officials say it's still unclear what caused the collision. A U.S. Navy spokesperson says the submarine is now headed towards the U.S. territory of Guam. The sub-nuclear propulsion plant has not been affected and remains fully operational.
Stay with the Daily Roundup. Coming up after the break, a look at the day's sports news. EAC News fully supports the Royal Government of Cambodia's preventative and administrative measures against COVID-19. But we need you to play your part in helping bring the 20 February community transmission event to an end. Wash your hands regularly, sanitize wherever possible. Keep an eye on your body temperature. Use the Stop COVID QR code and maintain a safe social distance. But above all, please, 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 wear a mask. Only together can we beat COVID-19. EAC News' audience is growing. Our YouTube channel has over 150,000 verified subscribers. To mark the milestone, we've received the Silver Creator Award from YouTube. It's given to channels with over 100,000 subscribers. YouTube CEO Susan Wojcicki says the award celebrates EAC News' hard work and incredible achievement. She says we brought a unique voice and style to the world, but have also created valuable connections and built a community along the way. The next milestone we're going for is 1 million subscribers, and we'd really like that Gold Creator Award. So if you're not already a subscriber, head to YouTube and search for EAC News. Subscribers get alerts when the Daily Roundup is premiering and live events are streaming. Get all the latest breaking news and updates from Cambodia in English. The EAC News channel on YouTube. Cambodia made clear. If it's happening and you need to know about it, you'll get it all right here. EAC News brings you updates and breaking news in English across all of our platforms and channels. The EAC News app, YouTube, Facebook, Telegram, Twitter, and our website www.eacnews.asia. Join me, Andrew Barnes-Roberts, and the rest of the EAC News team every day on your favorite channels. EAC News, Cambodia made clear. France will face Spain in Sunday's final of the Nations League. The world champions stunned Belgium in Thursday night's semi-final, recovering from a 2-goal deficit to win 3-2. It was a real thriller, with a last-minute strike from Theo Hernandez securing France's place in Sunday's showpiece against Spain. In a crazy end to the game, Belgium thought they'd won, when minutes earlier Romelu Lukaku's late effort was ruled offside. France's coach went as far as to describe the match as fabulous.
This ability that we had to start with our three offensive players who hustled from everywhere, who made and make many mistakes, and who led us to reverse a situation that was very complicated, so of course there will be pride. Self-esteem too and quality too, even if we are also in a system which is new and that takes time. But there isn't any. But to be able to do what we did, we must not forget the team we have in France now. It's not for nothing that they are the best team in the world rankings. So it's fabulous what France team managed to do from being down 2-0. And apart from me, I don't think there were a lot of people who could think that we were going to reverse the situation. We did it.
After Spain's impressive and inspiring victory over European champions Italy on Wednesday, Thursday was another night of top-quality football in a competition that was in danger of being completely forgotten amid the post-pandemic calendar crush. News that English Premier League club Newcastle has been sold to a Saudi-led consortium has been warmly received by its legion of fans. The purchase has brought to an end the deeply unpopular reign of owner Mike Ashley, who had long ceased to be a fan favourite over what most saw as a lack of investment in the club. Delirious fans outside St James's Park welcomed the announcement, chanting, "We've got our club back." In a letter addressed to the new owners, the chair of the Newcastle United Supporters Trust, Greg Tomlinson, said that for the first time in many years, fans believe that their desire for an ambitious Newcastle could now become a reality. Fans have brushed off concerns from human rights groups who say Saudi Arabia is trying to sports wash its human rights record. Two of Africa's biggest football teams, Egypt and Libya, face off on Friday night in a World Cup qualifier. The match will determine the leader of their qualifying group. Both teams were hard at work in training on Thursday in the Egyptian port city of Alexandria.
Neither team taking any chances in training, even if the result will be mainly academic. Whoever wins will go top of the group. But the top 4 teams in each group automatically qualify anyway for Qatar 2022. Despite that, newly appointed Egypt coach Carlos Queiroz says his side's only goal is to unseat Libya, who currently lead Group F with 6 points compared to Egypt's 4.
Football teams, they talk inside the pitch.
فرق كرة القدم دايما بتتكلم جوه الملعب.
That's our job, talk inside the pitch.
ده شغلنا احنا نتكلم جوه الملعب.
Players talk inside the pitch.
اللعيب بيتكلم جوه الملعب.
And the reality it is this.
هو ده الواقع.
Libya, with quality work, discipline, they have 6 points.
ليبيا بالانضباط اللي عندهم بجودة الأداء اللي بيلعبوا بيها عندهم 6 نقاط.
In this moment, they are the top best team of the group. No doubt about that.
في اللحظة دي الحالية هم فريق متصدر المجموعة هم الأفضل من غير أي شك يعني.
Now, our goal tomorrow it is to be the best top team in the group.
هدفنا بكرة إن احنا نتفوق ونفوز على الفريق المتصدر المجموعة اللي هو أفضل فريق في المجموعة.
We don't have nothing else in our head.
ما عندناش أي حاجة تانية أكتر من كده بنفكر فيها يعني أو في ذهننا في الوقت الحالي.
Libya coach Javier Clemente said his side will have their work cut out for them if they hope to beat Egypt, who are armed with star player Mohamed Salah. The African neighbors will face each other again on Monday in the eastern Libyan city of Benghazi.
All right, let's have a look at how the weather's shaping up for the weekend. And finally, you might always have wanted to take a trip in a hot air balloon, but would you necessarily want to take one 30,000 meters up? more than twice as high as your average passenger jet. I'm not sure I would, but that's the latest offering planned for the world of space tourism. Tech company Worldview has announced plans to float passengers to the edge of space. Flying up to the stratosphere in a helium-filled balloon might make even the most hardened passenger a little queasy, but Worldview CEO Ryan Hartman says it would be extremely safe. In fact, they're already taking deposits of $500 for those interested in the balloon capsule. Flights are set to begin in early 2024 for about $50,000 a ticket.
Seeing the Earth as a living organism, seeing weather unfold, seeing the total devastation of a wildfire, seeing, the devastation of like the erosion of the Great Barrier Reef. That's not something you can see when you're standing next to something, right? It's not something you can see. You can see it on a very small scale, but seeing it in a large scale, it's just a different perspective. And you start seeing the Earth without borders. You start seeing the Earth without race. You see it as a living organism. It is truly a different perspective. It is truly something that you cannot experience any other way.
The only thing Worldview will not offer is weightlessness, but it will offer incredible views of such things as the Great Barrier Reef, the Grand Canyon, the Great Wall of China, and the Amazon, not to mention of space itself. Thanks for watching the Daily Roundup here on the EAC News channel. You'll get more breaking news and updates from our website. Head to www.eacnews.asia and also search for EAC News on Telegram and at your favorite app store. More from the EAC News team in the weekly Roundup tomorrow night at 8. I will see you then.